Welcome to another scriptural, empirical, and astronomical calendar study, in which we, together as one, once again, will re-review the 6-day count of the Battle of Jericho. Yes, we've done this study on previous occasions, and many Bereans all over Earth have requested that we re-review or revisit this very same study. As always, please stop the video at any time to ensure that you can focus on the scriptural and empirical astronomical witnesses being shared. And yes, please ensure that your computer monitor, your iPad screen, or mobile phone is programmed or configured to full view mode. Again, these scriptural studies are designed for a personal computer where you can actually see all of these scriptural witnesses, historical, etymological, astronomical, etc. witnesses and or evidence. So we share the visuals, if you don't have that capability for a full screen personal computer. We share all of the visuals in a PDF link in the description box of each of these YouTube videos. So this scriptural study is a revisit to the Battle of Jericho, and specifically to a scriptural study we did on the first day of the second new moon, back on the pagan day of Wednesday, May 26, 2021, where we took the time to go over the books of YAHsome and YaHUaH and the count, the 6-day count of the Battle of Jericho. Why is this so important? Well, at the end of the day, it's the same sun, moon, and star signs, regardless if you're in a 13th month cycle and or not. And we're going to prove that once again here in this scriptural study video. Furthermore, the 6-day count of the Battle of Jericho occurred in the first week of the second month. Now, we just finished the first week of the second month, and I am narrating this video here today on the 8th day of the second month, the first Sabbath of the second month on the celestial clock and calendar of YaHUaH. So what's so significant about the 6-day count of the Battle of Jericho? Well, it secures why Sabbaths are always on the 8th, 15th, 22nd, and 29th days of any scriptural month. And as you can see here, and it was in the second month, on the first day of the month, that YaHUaH said to Yahushua, Strong's H3091, same name as the Mashiach. And YaHUaH stated, "Rise up. Behold, I have given Jericho into thy hand, the people thereof." And he gave these instructions to Yahushua on the first day of the second month, which is a worship day. And he says, "And all of your fighting men shall go round the city each day, thus ye shall do for 6 days." So it started on the second day of the second month on the celestial clock and calendar of YaHUaH. So 6 days, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And on the seventh day, which is the sixth workday on any first week of a scriptural month, this is when they marched for 6 days. So you shall go around the city once each day, thus you'll do for 6 days. The book of YAHsome, chapter 88, verse 14. We further clarify this in the book of YaHushua, chapter 6, verse 11, and verses 14 and 15. "And the ark of YaHUaH went around the city, going around once each day. And they came into the camp and stayed in the camp. And the second day they went around the city once." Right there, second day. "And they returned to the camp. Thus they did for 6 days, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it came to be on the seventh day that they rose early, about the dawning of the day." A day starts at the dawn. There it is, right there. The sixth count, or the 6th day of marching, occurred on that 7th day, which is preparation day, the day before the first Sabbath of any scriptural month, in this case, the second month. And they went around the city 7 times in this way on that day. Only on that day, 7th day, which is the 6th workday, they went around the city 7 times. So very basic. So we're going to utilize the sun, moon, and stars again because it's the same celestial sign in the heavens for the first day of the second month, as we have just shared in the latest scriptural study video, utilizing the scriptural stars and then some, as we always do, with a dawn day start. Again, if you allow Scripture to interpret Scripture, this becomes extremely basic, even when you're on the heels of a 13th month. So we experienced a 13th month over a month ago because we observe, we don't intercalate. But this year is going to be great because all the self-proclaimed priests from all world religions that do recognize the 13th month will put it in 2024. They'll intercalate, they'll add it without utilizing the sun, moon, and stars. They'll number it themselves. They'll supersede what the Father of Lights provides, those perfect witnesses above, from YaHUaH to tell time. So again, which 13th month will you choose? The one that you observe from the perfect witnesses and gifts of light from YaHUaH, or the one that's calculated or intercalated by self-proclaimed priests, whether they're from world religions and their offshoots in the online social media world, regrettably. So again, all of this confirms that Sabbaths are on the 8th day, 15th day, 22nd, and 29th day, no different than Moshe's writings for the first month of Abib, let alone his writings for the 7th month with the fall feasts. Very basic. And as confirmed, tried and tested and proven, if you will, with the prophets' writings. All of this has been verified. So again, I'd like to thank the Bereans that requested for us to revisit this and reshare this out of scriptural caring, out of scriptural compassion and love, like the Mashiach YaHUaH did. He had compassion, patience, scriptural fruit of the Spirit, if you will, the Ruach HaKodesh. So, make a long story short, we're going to get into this same video now, and I'll have some closing comments at the end. Thank you to all those Bereans that have helped me improve these scriptural studies, because you'll notice the quality 2 years ago of the video itself is not as good as what they are today. And this is the fabulous benefit and advantages of assembling with so many Bereans all over the earth with scriptural studies and words, names, and the law, including the calendar. So let's continue. Well, hello again. Here we are the night before New Moon Day. The sun is going down on the other side of the camera. The full moon is rising, and it will rule with the stars for an announcement of a second month. Yes, the Battle of Jericho happened in the second month. So stay tuned to this video today, because we will share the stars that the moon rules with on a first day of a second month celestial pattern and our time signature. So again, tomorrow, from the dawn to sunrise, it will announce the first day of the second month, which is on the pagan day of Wednesday, May 26. And finally, thank you for those pictures from all over Earth, especially Alan and your daughter from New Zealand. We love to see those pictures from the southern hemiplane, as some people say, as it is so wonderful to see that consistency all over Earth. Yes, hallelujah! The pagan day of Wednesday, May 26, will be the first day of the second month on the celestial clock and calendar of YaHUaH. So yes, here we are again on New Moon Day, the first day of the second month, which is the pagan day of Wednesday, May 26, 2021. And thank you to those Bereans all over Earth that forecast with all of the witnesses of light, as we can see here from this sample that highlights why, even in Anaheim, California, Barrie, Ontario, Canada, Jerusalem, Israel, and even Perth, Australia, it is indeed New Moon Day on the pagan day of Wednesday, May 26, 2021. And most are not aware that the Battle of Jericho and its count occurred in the first week of the second month, and that we are to guard this. Why? Well, most are even further not aware that the Battle of Jericho hinges on our ability to guard the scriptural month of Abib. Because if we understand the order, the continuity of the count from Moshe's writings in the first month of Abib, we will then have a better understanding of why the sun, moon, and stars and the specific scriptural witnesses of light with those stars, when properly focused, will indeed give us a further understanding on the true count as it relates to the Battle of Jericho. As we go through today's study, let's further focus on why the Father of Lights, yes, YaHUaH himself, is known as an Almighty One, which is not an Almighty One of disorder, but of peace. Because with the Father of Lights, every good gift and every perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of Lights, with whom there is no change nor shadow of turning. This is important because when there is no change nor shadow of turning, we have what's called continuity. And why YaHUaH's only begotten Son, the firstborn of creation, is known as the Father of continuity, the Prince of Peace. Yes, the word tamid, for continual, is about continuity. Yes, the counts are continual, continuously. That's what continuity means and why it is substantive, which means you can test and prove it in reality, in the Shamayim, day after day, night after night. Please take the time to stop the video to read the definition of the Hebrew word for continuity or continuous, named as tamid. You will be glad that you did, because, yes, some do not believe or read the writings of Abraham in chapter 28, verse 1, when it states, "We journeyed slowly for their sake of the woman and children, and we journeyed not upon the Sabbath day, nor upon any of the set-apart days," which includes new moon days. "For we thought it better to worship the Almighty Father of Lights according to the pattern, continuity of heaven," yes, with the sun, moon, and stars in the Shamayim, "than to proceed rapidly on our way. And we did know that YaHUaH prospered us in our journey and protected us from the power of all our enemies, because we did loyally serve him and worship before his throne according to the celestial pattern," or tamid. Yes, the tamid, that which is continual, is aligned to the prophet Ezekiel's writings, as we can read in chapter 46, verse 1. Why? Because the east gate, the golden gate, was shut 6 working days. The east gate is always open on new moon days for worship and is always open on Sabbath days. This is critical to the study of the Battle of Jericho count, because we worship on new moon days only and we worship on Sabbath days only. This is where, in this study, we will start to focus on what is known as the new moon day and seventh day question as it relates to the Battle of Jericho. Because in this world, the second Babylon has us following a Nimrod. Why? Because this calendar system eliminates new moon days and the true Sabbath days. This is so important in understanding why the Battle of Jericho and its count reveals who is still imprisoned under this second Babylonian timing system. So, as we go through the remaining part of the study, please feel free to stop this video at any time to further focus on the scriptural passages being shared and the associated information astronomically and etymologically. Again, when we read about the events as it relates to the Battle of Jericho count, it will become clear why this continuous order or continuity is so important to understand. So let's begin. As always, when we learn to number our days from the Father of Lights with his sun, moon, and stars, this continuity and pattern is very much in place like a clock or a wristwatch, which has 3 witnesses that measure different time. So again, hour hand, minute hand, and second hand. When we look at the continuity of YaHUaH's timing piece, it works with 3 witnesses of light, all measuring a different time, but when combined, allow us to meet our appointed schedule time, like a time signature as it relates to the piece of music, so to speak. Again, the sun, moon, and stars are for signs, appointed times, which are new moon days, Sabbath days, and for days and years. Yes, to number our days. So again, Sabbath days are always on the 8th day, 15th, 22nd, and 29th, as we can see here, right on this worksheet, and a very basic step in numbering our days. As well, preparation days are always on the 7th, 14th, 21st, and 28th day. Each of these days are known as the 6th workday of every scriptural week, as we can see here. This day, the 7th day, is a preparation day before the Sabbath. This day is a preparation day, the 14th day before the Sabbath. Again, the 21st day is a preparation day before the Sabbath. The 28th day is a preparation day before the Sabbath. And as well, the first work day of the first week is the second day, as we can see here. The first work day of the second week is the 9th day, as we can see here. The first work day of the third week is the 16th day, as we can see here. The first work day of the fourth week is the 23rd day of a scriptural month, as we can see here. As we continue forward, focus on week 1, because week 1 was when the Battle of Jericho occurred. We'll get into this a little further as time goes on in this study. But again, day 2 is the first work day. So here's the scriptural day in the week 1 time period, which is day 1 of a work day. Day 3 is the second work day. Day 4 is the third work day. Day 5 is the fourth work day. Day 6 is the fifth workday, while day 7 is the 6th workday, as we can see here, which is a preparation day. This is why it is so important to understand when preparation day is versus the rest of the workdays. 6 workdays we shall work, and on the 7th day we will rest. Yes, the 7th day in week 1 is the 8th day, the first Sabbath or 7th day Sabbath of week 1. If you follow this continuity, this numbering of days that is continual, we will see the following. The same pattern in week 2. Again, day 14 is a preparation day. It's the 6th work day of a scriptural week 2 time period. Again, the same continuity in week 3, and this is so important. The 6th and final workday of week 3 is the 21st day of a scriptural month. It is a preparation day, as we can see here. If we follow the same continuity, order, if you will, we will notice that the 28th day is a preparation day. It's the 6th working day. If we understand this continuity and order, all of the scriptural writings of Moshe, let alone the prophetic writings, will that become, if you will, much more clear. And if you understand the fall festival count of the 7th month, we will understand what is known as the 8th day. So let's spend some time here. Because on New Moon Day, yes, in the 7th month, on the first day of the month, we will have a set-apart gathering. We will do no servile work. It is a day of blowing trumpets for us, as we can read in the book of Bamidbar from Moshe, now known today as Numbers, chapter 29, verse 1. It's a new moon day. We blow trumpets. And as we know, 7 days later, counting from the second day, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the first 7-day Sabbath is always on the 8th day. On the 10th day of the 7th month, we have a set-apart gathering, and we afflict our beings. We do no work. And this starts in the evening of the 9th day, and in the 10th day, from the dawn to the evening time period, is when atonement finishes. Again, the 15th day is the Sabbath of the 7th month. And thus why they said the 22nd day is called an 8th day. It's a Sabbath. We do no servile work, as we can read in the book of Numbers, chapter 9, verse 35. It's an 8-day count if we include the 15th day Sabbath. It's that basic. And that is why our only teacher, the Messiah YaHUaH, stated in the book of YAHUaH, or John, chapter 7, verse 37, and on that last great day of the festival of Sukkot, he cried out, saying, if anyone thirsts, let him come to me, and let him who believes in me drink. Yes, the living waters knew how to count his days. The 22nd day of a 7th month is known as an 8th day. So let's follow this order and continuity a little further, shall we? Because Yeshayahu, the prophet, in chapter 66, verse 23 stated, and it shall be that from new moon to new moon, and from Sabbath to Sabbath, all flesh shall come to worship before me, declares YaHUaH. So let's take a look at this again. As it relates to this 8th day scenario, we already know that New Moon Day is set apart. It stands alone. It's the first day of every scriptural month. And this is why we know that the first 7th-day Sabbath of any given month is called the 8th day. This is where we get that 8-day count. The 6 working days and the 7th day is the 8th day. Let's follow this order and pattern through each and every week. It's the same on week 2. Day 15 was the second 7th-day Sabbath of a scriptural month. Again, known as an 8th day, if you included the Sabbath that was previous to it. And thus the reason on the 22nd day, it's also known as the 3rd Sabbath or 7th-day Sabbath of the scriptural 3rd week time period. Again, this continuous order, known as Tamid, is alive and well in Moshe's writings in the 7th month for week 3. They understood this clearly, and our only teacher, the Messiah YaHUaH, reiterated the very same thing. This order, of course, continues into week 4. Hallelujah that from new moon to new moon and from Sabbath to Sabbath, all flesh shall come to worship before YaHUaH. Let's continue. This order, or this continuous tamid, if you will, is a command, and it is a lamp. And it is the Torah, which is known as a light. Why? Because the Word is a lamp to our feet and a light to our path. And thus why in the book of YAHsome, Revelation chapter 21, verse 23, states that the Lamb is its lamp. Furthermore, when we understand this order of continuance, we further understand why it's so important to understand Ezekiel chapter 46, verse 1, and why from new moon to new moon and from Sabbath to Sabbath, all shall come and worship before YaHUaH. The east gate is closed 6 days and is open on new moon days and on Sabbath days. This is so important as it relates to the Battle of Jericho and its count. Let's understand this because it's imperative as we go through each week and this order. Stop the video at any time to further review this order known as tamid, this continuance, if you will, that the Messiah YaHUaH proclaimed, let alone physically walked. And it all hinges, the Battle of Jericho, in regards to week 3 of the first month of Abib. How can we say this so confidently without any hesitation? Again, from new moon to new moon, all shall come and worship before YaHUaH. This is the writings of Moshe for the first month of Abib. On the 10th day, they acquired a lamb, and in the evening of the 14th day, starting in the evening, they had Passover. They ate the Passover in haste. And 7 days later, on the 21st day, in the evening, they stopped eating unleavened bread. And they knew that the 16th day was the first day of the week. And in this case, in the month of Abib, it's the wave sheaf offering. It's a Sabbath. And they knew this. And they knew this count had a count of 7 days. And they knew these were working days, day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So again, they knew this. How can I say this as relates to the Battle of Jericho? Because if you get the first month wrong, and if you don't do it right the first time, meaning you get the first 15% of the process of numbering your days incorrectly with the month of Abib, as verified with the sun, moon, and stars, then you're not beginning with the end in mind. And as such, the rest of the appointed times and its order of continuance will be lost. You will not understand the prophet Yeshayahu when he said in chapter 46, verse 9, how the Almighty Father of lights declares the end from the beginning. This will be lost upon you, and as a result, you will not understand how the sun, moon, and stars provide signs for all of the feasts, including that last great day, yes, the 8th day on the 22nd day of the 7th month. This will be all lost. All of this continuance and perfect order from the perfect gift of lights from above will be lost, and as such, you will follow the Catholic Church in eliminating new moon days as a worship day, and you will fall into their trap of identifying the wrong Sabbath days. So again, the count to Jericho is reliant upon the first month of Abib from Moshe's writings himself. Again, how can I say this so emphatically? Well, quite easily. If you understand the Battle of Jericho, They came to Jericho on the plains of the east border of Jericho on the 10th day of the first month of Abib. Yes, they camped in Gilgal on the east border of Jericho. They weren't at the walls. They were camped at Gilgal. And this is key to understanding the distance from Gilgal and the time it took to get to the walls of Jericho. Again, this is the 10th day of the first month of Abib. They also knew that they were going to celebrate and perform the Passover in Gilgal in the first month of Abib on the 14th day of the month at evening, just like Moshe's writings state. They were in the desert plains of Jericho. They were not outside the walls of Jericho, as we can see here. Yes, and they were fully aware of when they would eat their stored grain from the land on the morrow after the Passover, which is the 15th day. Yes, the 15th day of this month is the festival of unleavened bread, to YaHUaH, just as the book of Vayikra or Leviticus chapter 23 verse 6 states. They knew it was a high Sabbath, just like our only teacher, the Messiah YaHUaH, taught as well. They were fully aware of Moshe's writings in the first month of Abib. Furthermore, they knew that the 16th day was the first day of a third scriptural month or week in Scripture. The third week always demands that the 16th day is the first workday. They were fully aware of this, as it states in YaHUaH or the book of Joshua chapter 5 verse 12. The manna ceased the day after they had eaten the stored grain of the land on the 15th day. These folks were fully committed to Moshe's writings as verified by the sun, moon, and stars, and they knew to rest on the 22nd day, which it states clearly in the book of Vayikra or Leviticus chapter 23 verse 8. So again, they were fully aware that it would be from new moon to new moon and from Sabbath to Sabbath, all would come before YaHUaH to worship. New moon days was a worship day, and Sabbath days of the first week were a worship day on the 8th day. The first 7th-day Sabbath was on the 8th day of week 1 of a scriptural month in the first month of Abib. They were fully aware of this from the writings. So again, Sabbath days are always the 8th, 15th, 22nd, and 29th days, as we can see on the visual with the highlighted boxes, as we can see here. Preparation days are always on the 7th, 14th, 21st, and 28th, as it relates to the visual with the red arrow, as we can see here. And the first day of each week is highlighted with the blue arrows. So the first day of the first week is the second day. The first day of the second week is the 9th day. Again, the first work day. And the 16th day is the first work day of the third week, while the 23rd day is the first work day of a fourth week. In this continuous order, Tamid. Again, we worship on new moon days and Sabbath days. This leaves 6 days of work, as we can see here on the visual. Let's focus on week 1 as we move forward, because the Battle of Jericho actually occurred in the first week of the second month. Again, New Moon Day stands alone. It's a worship day. We have 6 days of work. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the first 7th-day Sabbath occurs on the 8th day. This is critical. Let's focus on the first week moving forward. Again, understand the work days of Scriptural Week 1, 6 work days, because it will finalize and provide critical answers to the seventh day question and why the Catholic Church, the Second Babylon, to this day has influenced all world religions to wipe out New Moon Day of every scriptural month. So let's get into the Battle of Jericho, understanding again that the month of Abib was critical to these folks, as we can read in the book of YaHUaH, known today as Joshua. So let's get started again, remembering 6 work days in week 1. Because when are the work days? They are between, in week 1, New Moon Day and the first 7-day Sabbath on the 8th day. Let's remember this. These work days are so important because when we read the book of Yasher, chapter 88, verse 14, it states the following. And it was in the 2nd month, on the 1st day of the month, that YaHUaH said to Yahushua, rise up. Now he's rising up towards the dawn or sometime before sunrise. And he states, behold, I have given Jericho, into thy hand with all the people thereof, and all your fighting men shall go, future tense, around the city once each day, and you will do this for 6 days. So again, 6 days, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the working days. Why? Because New Moon Day is a worship day. It's a standalone day, and the first 7-day Sabbath is the 8th day. There are only 6 days between New Moon Day and the 8th day, and here they are, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he's telling him, YaHUaH is telling Joshua, in the morning time period, sometime from the dawn to sunrise, that for 6 days later, in the future tense, they are going to march around the walls of Jericho. Now remember, they're camped in Gilgal. They're not at Jericho. So let's continue. The walls of Jericho were massive stone walls surrounding an ancient Neolithic settlement in Jericho. It was a military installment. Please do your research to verify this for yourself. Jericho, again, is a Palestinian city in the West Bank today. There's no irony in this. It is located in the Jordan Valley, with the Jordan River to the east and Jerusalem to the west. If you understand what's happening with the Battle of Jericho, this is a fight to the death based on the calendar. Jericho was a city that worshipped the crescent moon and the sun, and their year started in alignment with the equinox, not with the sun, moon, and stars. This is so important why this battle took place. It's a battle of the calendar, just like it is today. This article by Dr. David Livingston may be of value in you learning this further, along with many other historical and archaeological records that are now captured in the historical documentation. As we move further, again, it's very important to understand that on the first day of the 2nd month, New Moon Day, YaHUaH is giving guidance to Joshua, known as Yahushua, in the 2nd month on the 1st day of the month. He's getting Joshua to rise up, and he's giving the instructions that he will go around the city once each day for 6 days. And on the 7th day, that final day, the preparation day, workday 6, he would do something different. We read this in the writings of Yahushua, Joshua, chapter 6, verses 11 and verses 14 through 15. Let's read it. And the ark of YaHUaH went around the city, going around once. And they came into the camp and stayed in the camp. Remember, that's Gilgal. That's not at Jericho. There is a little bit of a walk to get there. And so again, there is no mention here that they walked around the city on the first day of the first month. It's a worship day. Remember, Joshua had priestly duties. So, again, they would go forth starting on the first day of week 1, which is the second day. They went around the city once and returned to camp. Thus they did 6 days. They walked around the walls of Jericho for 6 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it came to be on the 7th day, right here, 7th day, which is a preparation day, the 6th working day, before the first 7-day Sabbath, which is the 8th day. And it came to be on the 7th day that they rose early. Well, why did they rise early on this 6th working day, the 7th day? Why did they rise early about the dawning of the day? Because on that day, they went around the city 7 times in this way. Only on that 7th day, which is the 6th working day, only on that day, again, the 7th day of that 6th working day, they went around the city 7 times. It's why they had to rise early on this day to get that done. From day 1, workday 1, workday 2, workday 3, workday 4, workday 5, they only walked around the city once, or the walls. On this 7th day, the 6th working day, they went around the city 7 times, and thus the reason why they had to get up early. The walk from Gilgal, the camp, to the walls of Jericho took some time. And to do the extra walks around the walls, because they only did it one time, from day 1 to day 5, working day, the 6th working day, they did it 7 times. Why is this so important? Because you don't profane the new moon day. And you don't profane the true 7th-day Sabbath, which happens on an 8th day. Remember, the Catholic Church does not, the Second Babylon does not recognize the 8th day as the first 7th-day Sabbath in week 1. They don't recognize it. They don't recognize the 15th day as a Sabbath. They don't recognize the 22nd or the 29th. Again, they do not recognize new moon days. And a lot of people that believe that they're not imprisoned by the Second Babylon still count this wrong as a result. This is so important. Let's continue. So again, if I counted it this way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I would rob every Berean of the order or continuance that we have shared already, and this is incorrect, obviously. This is the correct way to count it, as we can read in the book of YaHUaH, or Joshua chapter 6, verse 11 and verses 14 through 15. On the 7th day, they went around the city 7 times. This was work day number 6, preparation day, before the first 7-day Sabbath on the 8th day. Remember, world religions ignore this because they eliminate new moon day. Welcome to the reason and purpose, let alone intent, of the Battle of Jericho. Yes, indeed, the Battle of Jericho did take place in the first week of the 2nd month, because this battle is indeed about protecting and not profaning the first day of the scriptural month. Yes, new moon day. We are not to profane it. New moon day is a standalone day. And as well, we are not to profane the 8th day. Only the Second Babylon will continue, and those still imprisoned in it will do their utmost to wipe out new moon day, let alone the truth Sabbath days. And we know this because of the prophet Ezekiel that taught us that the east gate is shut 6 working days. Well, why? Well, it's shut because it is only opened when there is no buying and selling, because the east gate is open on new moon days. The east gate is open on Sabbath days. And this is why people of the past, like today, don't like it, as we can read in Amos chapter 8, verses 4 through 5, which states, "Hear this, you who are swallowing up the needy, to do away with the poor of the land, saying, when does the new moon pass, so that we sell grain and the Sabbath?" So again, they want the new moon day to pass, and they want the Sabbath to pass. Bottom line is they want the gate closed so they can get back to buying and selling. Yes, to trade our wheat to make the YAHUaH small and the shekel large, and to falsify the scales by deceit. Well, there are a few of us Bereans in this world that will not falsify what is continuous. Yes, the Tamid, the order, the continuance, because Bereans will guard the scriptural month of Abib, and as a result, continue to number our days just as Moshe taught us to, just as those in the Battle of Jericho protected as well. Again, continuance is all about appointed signs, a definite time that are fixed, they're set, they're designated. The Moedim are appointments or rehearsals that repeat themselves repetitively. So, on the second new moon, with the sun, moon, and stars, yes, those that experienced the Battle of Jericho so long ago were fully aware of what the sun, moon, and stars did as well. Yes, they fully were aware how the moon ruled with specific scriptural stars. Yes, those witnesses of light that we can count on year after year, because knowing the laws of the heavens that rule over the earth consistently provide signs, marks. They describe themselves with a mark in the heavens. And for Bereans that number their days year after year and keep records of what the sun, moon, and stars actually do, go outside and test and prove all things with YaHUaH. We trust YaHUaH with all our hearts, and as such, we do not lean on the understandings of men, especially the second Babylon. Because our Father of lights is an Almighty One of order, not disorder. Our Almighty One provides peace, because every good gift and every perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of lights, with whom there is no change nor shadow of turning. So again, we have 4 opportunities the night before New Moon Day to see how the moon and stars do indeed rule by night. Yes, 4 night watches after sunset, because our eyes can indeed go before the night watches to study the Word. Because the moon and stars do indeed rule by night, and we can photograph them year after year, month after month. So, last night, as you've seen the video start off, we seen the moon rising and the sun setting. Well, for a first day, second month, the celestial pattern, yes, the continuance, is as follows. Pleiades will be in alignment with the sun, as we see here. Orion will be starting to set, as we can see here. While Hamal, the morning star, will be below the horizon already. Ursa Major will be in its proper position, pointing us, giving us guidance to the North Star, while the 2 sons of the bear will be in their proper position for a first day, second month celestial event, while the moon will rule with a star known as Zuben al-Kamali, which literally means the price which covers. So this is going into the first watch at moonrise. And we know about these scriptural stars because we can read about them. Yes, the Companion Bible, written by E.W. Bullinger, has this information in it in the Appendix 12. He received this information from a book called Mazzaroth, written in 1862, by Francis Ralston. You can find this information on page 18. Yes, indeed, the price that covers, as we can read in 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 20. So, this is the first watch, and by the first watch, going close to the midnight time period, after the second and going into the third watch, the moon indeed is ruling the night, Zubin al-Kamali, the price which covers. And as we can see, this counterclockwise perfect timing piece from above shows this sign, this ordinance, this continuance like we see year after year. And by the dawn, the moon is still ruling the night with Zubin al-Kamali, the price which covers. And as we can see, the morning star is rising at the dawn, and the rest of the scriptural stars are in their proper position. And by sunrise, the moon is still ruling with al-Kamali, the price which covers. The morning star has fully risen, along with Pleiades that is in alignment with the sun. Welcome to the first day, second month, celestial sign. Yes, continuance. Why? Because in 2020, we've seen the same thing. In 2019, the very same thing. In 2018, the very same thing. And as well, 2017. Please forecast this as far out into the future that you want to with Stellarium, and or go back for any year in the past. This is the ordinance. This is the continuance. This is the perfect gifts of light from YaHUaH. This is why our Father of Lights is known as an Almighty One of order and not disorder, but of peace. And why every good gift and every perfect gift from above, coming down from our Father of Lights, with whom there is no change nor shadow of turning. And thus why his Son, the firstborn of all creation, protected this continuity. No one else did this. Only the Son protected this continuity. So again, Abraham knew about the Tamid and the continuity of the celestial patterns for each new moon day. And so can we. We can love our Father of Lights because he is an Almighty One of order, not disorder. So moving forward, let us all trust in YaHUaH with all of our heart, and not man. And let's protect the count of the Battle of Jericho for the proper reasons. So, as we can see, if we go to the very first page of Scripture, like so many in world religions are doing right now, they know something's wrong with the Roman Catholic pagan Gregorian system. And they're reading the very first page of Scripture, specifically chapter 1, verses 14 through 16. And then they're seeing the very same thing all the way through Scriptures. We tab all these subjects, names, words, and the law, including the calendar. And the Scriptures are so consistent, making them even more relevant in this day and age. So again, we thank all the brands that continue to do this work all over Earth and all of the countries that we get the privilege to participate, let alone facilitate assemblies in. So, as always, we call upon, we cry out, Shua, to YaHUaH, our Father of Lights, for our deliverance. No different than his Son did, his last lesson on the stake. And this is why he came in his Father's name. So again, Abbi Shua means Father of Deliverance. It's no coincidence then that the Son's name is YaHUaH. May these scriptural study videos provide value to you and your loved ones. And until next time, YaHUaH willing, may YaHUaH continue to keep and guard each and every one of us. And may the Mashiach Yahushua, the Messiah, the Anointed One of the Father, be our only teacher and thus be in everything we say and do. Have a YAHsome day, everyone.